Today I want to talk to you about succession planting in the garden and why it's very important to have a plan to replace your plants as soon as they are harvested. So if you can kind of see over here, I made a video a couple days ago about harvesting broccoli where I harvested these central heads, and because of that it's putting off little side shoots right there, little smaller heads. You can harvest those as well. Okay, now these are some peas that I have interplanted here that didn't do quite as well because they were shaded out by the cauliflower, which you can tell the stems are right there. There's 1, 2, and 3 of them. But as you can tell, just now, I've just planted some of my sweet peppers that I had grown from seed that I had been waiting for the cauliflower to be removed. And without digging the soil, just making a small little hole, my new pepper plant is in there, which will be able to take advantage of the sunlight and the space that has been provided by removing the cauliflower. Now, looking over here, you can kind of tell if you know what you're looking for, but right there, now that is a watermelon. It's a Jubilee watermelon. I've never grown watermelons up here on the hillside before, so I've tried, and I've never been able to really get a produce out of it because I never really tried. So this year I'm really putting an emphasis on caring for this plant and hoping to get some fruit out of it. So why do I have the peas growing behind other than the pods are delicious to eat on? Because they're a legume. So the peas are actually going to fix nitrogen, which is going to help with the peppers, with the watermelon, etc. So everything has a place, everything has a purpose. Now, over here, these are some of the shallots that I have grown from seed, and they were kind of getting as well shaded out by the cauliflower as well. But I think now they're going to be able to take off with the new recent opening up of the canopy here to allow more sunlight in and just to be able to grow. Now, panning over here, now this obviously is corn. This is a Country Gentleman. It's an old heirloom type corn, and yes, it is planted fairly closely together, but that's okay because I just have a small little block of it right here where now I have the lettuce. Now this is a heading type lettuce. You can kind of tell some of here, they're just now starting to head up right there. So as soon as these are going to be harvested pretty soon, what is going to be taking their place? Well, moving over here carefully, not to damage the corn, these are cucumbers. Okay, these are not bush cucumbers, these are the running cucumbers, and I'm going to train them to grow in this direction that the lettuce is going to be removed from. Okay, so as the lettuce is moved out, the cucumbers will then take over. And also, down here, if you can kind of tell right there, that is a squash, which is also a vining, going to make some space right there. So as the squash is small, the lettuce is removed, and then the squash will take over this part of the bed, whereas over here, like I showed you, the cucumber will then take over this side of the lettuce place. So there you go. So as you're moving one thing, have a plan to put something else in its place. Now, obviously, these are tomatoes in the cages. They're doing quite well. I've just recently cut some of this taller grass. We'll chop and drop for the mulch around the base of the tomato plants. And to over here, we have some eggplants that are not doing too well because we had a very, very cold spring. It's been harder on the eggplants as they do not take the colder temperatures as well as a tomato or pepper may. Again, these are beans. Just along the edge, you can kind of see along the other side of the row here. These are all Roma type beans. They're delicious, flatter bean. I like those. They're a lot better for making more of a, I don't know. They don't get as soft and as flimsy as traditional French green beans would be, if that makes more sense. They hold up better during cooking process. So I tend to like these better personally. If you've never tried those before, do give that a shot. And right here in front of you is another cucumber plant. Actually, I apologize, that is a cantaloupe. Sorry, cantaloupe. And the purpose of this is I want this area here, because this is where the broccoli is, and this little spot here is nothing planted. As the broccoli is then harvested out, the cantaloupe is going to run, and I'm going to train it to take over the area where the broccoli is growing. Okay, so you have to have a plan in place well in advance. This is my row of German butterball potatoes. They've been recently hilled. They've been getting a lot of moisture. They're really liking the cooler temperatures this year. Last year, spring just got so hot right away. So potatoes are loving it. I do need to probably hill this up a little bit more. I need to get some old straw or something, some hay to kind of fill that up. and really kind of heal those up to keep the roots nice and cool. And moving along here, as you can tell, this asparagus is just absolutely massive. It is already past the eating stage. Those are one of the earliest crops you get in the spring. So as you move on past your asparagus, then you're going to have your warmer weather crops. Now, underneath this asparagus, these are German wineberries. Okay, these were dug up from basically the side of the road. I found a little patch of them growing, and of the 3 I dug up, 2 are surviving. One's doing much better. The other one here is kind of lankier, but it is putting on some growth up underneath this canopy of this asparagus. So the asparagus is acting basically as a nurse or a cover for the baby plants. So always think about layers of plants as well, because you can grow stuff and then have plants growing underneath them as well, utilizing all of that space. Just like in nature, you have taller plants and you have plants that are smaller that grow underneath them for that perfect cover, providing shade maybe in the hot summer, or maybe just helping to retain some moisture at the feet of another plant. So this is a companion planting I've been trying this year, and so far it's worked out. You know, obviously this asparagus is massive, and these wineberry plants are going to need to be moved eventually. But for the time being, just as they were transplanted, it is providing a very nice environment as to allow the plant to become established and avoid any kind of transplant related death. And the final thing I'd like to talk about on this little garden tour here is, yes, this is vetch. Okay, I started this as a cover crop years ago, and it keeps reseeding and just staying around. Vetch is awesome for fixing nitrogen. It's a nice legume, and also has the nice purple flowers as well, which is beneficial to other insects as well. However, when the vetch gets too long, it's going to start putting out seed. That's fine. And then I harvest the vetch. I basically just cut it short to the ground, and I'll use it as a mulch around my plants. So you also have the nitrogen fixation of the vetch. You also have the biomass that it's going to provide for a mulch as well to these tomato plants that are just in front of you, that I just now staked up today as they were getting to that point. But there you go. So when you're planting your garden out, make sure you think about succession. Don't wait till something is already pulled out and you have an empty space to start thinking about putting something else in. So that's why I always start things from seed. I have transplants ready to go. As soon as one thing is removed from the garden, something else goes back into it. And there you go. So it doesn't look like much right now, as it is still early in the season, but there is definitely have a plan in place. There is a pattern of succession. There are plants, there are transplants waiting to go in every spot, every hole. To maximize your production, you want to make sure that you never have an empty space. You never want to be waiting to plant something. Always have something ready to plant to take the place of whatever you may be removing or harvesting or eating, etc., as the time goes on in the garden. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you did enjoy it. Hopefully you're planting out some succession crops for your garden to keep yourself or your family healthy and fed all season long. All right, guys, until next time, bye-bye.